Now, we have this clip from the Culture War podcast where I was having a conversation with Emma Vigeland of the Majority Report co-host. And considering what we saw with this Pride event, I want to play this clip and discuss it more in depth. So I'm going to play it for you now. Here we go. You're the one arguing for...
You're the one arguing for censorship.
Yes.
I don't really mind that stuff. I mean, are you in favor of children seeing violence on television?
No.
That scares me a little bit more.
It depends. It's not so simple to say violence, right? But yes, censorship is a good thing, but when done bad is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For instance, Ian Crossland, who is a co-host on Timcast IRL, used to be a moderator for Minds.com, and he had to filter out graphic depictions of murder and rape and child abuse. Censorship is absolutely vital in that regard. So if we're talking about a book like, in particular, there was one called, there was a teacher who provided a book to her middle schoolers called This Book is Gay. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on she provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them.
Maybe she had a child. Maybe she had a child in her classroom
who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults? Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know. Again, this is
why would a 10-year-old need Grindr?
This is the thing that you do, though, Tim.
Oh, that
You're
I do.
picking specific examples that are inflammatory.
You asked me for one.
Okay, then go ahead. I did.
We have the book.
Yeah, I'm.
I said don't show children blowjobs.
Look,
you said you appreciate it.
I'm not in favor of censorship.
This Book is Gay is a book that teaches the individual reading it how to use adult sex apps. And holy crap, there are things described in that book that, look, I can't even describe.
I'm buying it.
I can't even, bro. We
gotta have it on the table.
Oh, you're buying the book. Yeah. Right. I don't disagree with that. I don't like giving these people money, but I think it's important to know and for people to read this stuff. But the book describes things that go well beyond sex and kink into what I would describe as dangerous behavior that can result in serious... look, when they talk about consuming feces, and it goes beyond that.
Wow.
I'm like, you're talking about things that can cause serious harm to a person, let alone a child. When she says it's a great book and defends the idea that children would get it, I have to wonder. I almost don't have to wonder. It's a question of, do we really think these people just don't know what they're talking about? Does she actually... Does Emma actually want children to have sex with adults?
Emma had one thing on her mind when she came in here, and that was disagree with Tim Pool. There was not any brain function going on. She was just, what does Tim Pool say? Challenge it. Because the whole thing,
dude, but
she's an idiot.
No,
maybe, but that's giving them the benefit of the doubt when they're trying to get kids on Grindr.
No, how progressives view all of this, right? Like the patriarchy, they want to tear all that down, but they want to progress beyond all institutions, barriers. They think that laws that protect children from sex is actually hurting them.
So,
right? It's causing them harm. Like that's what the academics and ideologues of progressivism believe.
Yes, Emma is not that. Emma is not she's like, her head is so empty. And that, like, the whole point of her coming here was to get something that, and the same thing goes for like the whole Minority Report or whatever.
Majority Report.
They're just looking to dunk on Tim Pool. She came here hoping to get some kind of way to dunk on Tim Pool. So now you're right. There are people that know theory and actually believe it's good to have intergenerational relationships. People like Herbert Marcuse and Gail Rubin, I think is her name, and the people that write queer theory books. You're totally right. Emma's not one of them. Emma is a useful idiot. That's why she was like screaming about supporting trans women in women's sports, because even if it hurts some of the competitors.
You're saying you're saying Emma Vigeland's advocacy for pedophilia isn't that she herself is a pedophile, but that she stands opposed to like institutions, laws, and
anything on the right, anything that comes out of your mouth, she's going to oppose. She had no idea.
I will say this: the reason why I can agree with that is, for one, I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I think they know exactly what they're talking about. But for her, maybe She did this thing where after the show she claimed she wasn't cool enough to see the skate park. It's the weirdest thing in the world because I said earlier, maybe when she pulled up and parked, she didn't notice she was in a skate park because the front of the property is the skate park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they pulled up into the far space and just walked right in the green room door and she didn't notice because she didn't look anywhere. Then I found out from staff she was actually right in the middle of it. She was standing in the middle of the skate park. There's ramps everywhere. There's rails and ledges. You can see everything. There's like a big speaker for music. And then she called and said, I didn't get to see the skate park. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing to lie about.
She
You will
wanted to see
literally
the other one.
trip over the grinding rail
No.
that is right at the front of the house if you're not careful. You will fall over that.
She was talking about the other skate park, the downstairs one.
So,
That's what I think it was anyway.
There's like
I'm
5 here.
Dude,
Yeah,
the
there's two.
downstairs is a mini ramp, not a skate park. She was the skate park is the barn and there's a massive 24-foot long vert wall. It's an 8-foot vert, 8-foot wide vert, and then there's a 20-foot or a 16-foot 4-foot section. You park right in front of it, and you're surrounded by ramps. It's a weird thing to lie about. She could have said, "Well, I did get to see the skate park. I didn't get to see the ramp, though."
I could see how it might not look like a skate park because there's a bunch of cars parked all around it because it's a parking lot as well. It doubles as a parking lot.
Dude,
so she might not have realized she was in one.
You're so kind.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I wanna-
She literally. So she was offered a tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. When the show wrapped, I said, "We're all gonna hang out. We have sushi that's here, bubble tea, cheeseburgers. We put on some music. We hang out at the table. We play a micro stakes poker game, basically poker for fun, not for money. And we can show you around." She goes, "No, I can't. I've got to run." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thanks for coming." And what does she do? They wouldn't show me anything.
Well, she called Sam and they were joking. I mean, she's pretty clear. Like, Tim, this is like high school drama. But I think
It was so that way, but
wait, hold on.
it wasn't. It was so that way she could slime the people here.
Yeah, I think-
it wasn't like a Tim. It wasn't a good natured joke. It wasn't because she wanted to be humorous and be fun. It was a way to slime Tim and her experience here. Even though Tim was polite, kind, and
this
nice
is exactly
the entire
what
time.
Sam Cedar did.
I don't
Exactly.
agree.
Why you didn't want to have Sam?
When we
Yeah.
invited him on the show, I said, "I know exactly what he's going to do. It's low tier WWE political garbage." And if I invite him on the show, they do this thing where all of a sudden, abruptly, they'll say something in a non sequitur, and you're confused by what they're saying because she had on her computer. My understanding is that she was being told what to say.
Oh,
So,
really?
In the middle of the conversation, well, she had a list of things like written
Goes
out.
to
I
your
guess.
point that she's like just vacuous.
Yeah,
that's
no,
an
no,
assumption,
she-
man. She's a journalist. She reads like 50 pages a day before she
Journalists.
works. Yeah.
Look at what happened with Steven Crowder and Sam Cedar, right? Steven Crowder was going to have a conversation with Ethan Klein, and then Sam barges in and then starts just clucking like a chicken, like just buck nonsense, because it's WWE to them. So I'm like, we can have her on the show, and I said it would be with another person to discuss ideas. So we got Sean Fitzgerald, and what does she do? Before the show, we were like, hey, let's open with crime and talk about Jordan Williams, this guy in New York who's, he was a black guy. People are saying he's not getting the same support as Penny because he's black. And she goes, yeah, of course, absolutely. As soon as the show starts, what does she do? E-drama, WWE garbage.
I think Majority Report primarily is like a comedy show / it's more like the Daily Show. Like
Let
me finish, please. And whereas this show's more serious, and I think they both, Sam and Emma, get a kick out of making you upset. Like it's just part of like the pushing your friends around when you're little. Hold up.
This is not. No. I'm stopping you. I'm sorry. This is not me being like, oh, I can't believe I got dunked on it. This is Emma advocating for pedophilia.
No, it's not. You cut her off at 1:05. I was watching this clip. I watched the show live. You cut her off at 1:05 in the clip and didn't let her talk about what she said. Maybe the teacher has a student in her class. And you cut her off. And that was the end of it. She couldn't explain herself.
Watch the full episode.
I did. I watched it once.
Yeah, no, she goes into greater detail. We talked for like 20 minutes about how she explicitly said she did not care if 10-year-olds were shown blowjobs.
I think she's out of line.
She's not.
I think you need censorship for stuff like that. That's an argument I'll have with her.
They're having a show where they advocate for pedophilia at a time where they're chanting, "We're coming for your children," and they produced a 50-person chorus called "We're coming for your children." Ian, take the blinders off, man.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think there's blindness in people's brains where they think that things have happened so slowly as they're introducing sexuality to children, 9-year-olds seeing porn and things, that now people are like, why do censorship is the bad guy. We don't just let things happen naturally. And like, dude, it's our duty and responsibility to create a moral system. If we
listen.
don't stay on it every day, it's going to go haywire.
When has the left ever been against censorship? For her to be like, I oppose censorship, it's like, oh, please. They complain that someone says a naughty word on the internet and they want them all banned. Then when it comes to the issue of pedophilia, she's like, I'm not even gonna quote her. When it comes to the issue of pedophilia and a teacher trying to get her students of 10 years old to use Grindr, she defends it. You know what she could have said? She could have said, okay, like, yes, that's bad, but here's what I'm saying. She didn't say that. Dude, for 2.5 hours we talk, or like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and she's in every respect defending that they're doing these things. In every respect. And then it got to the point where I was like, I don't understand. And it's probably like Phil said, whatever it is we agree on, no matter what, they oppose. No matter what. So I'm like, why? I was like, isn't it in your interest to have Joe Biden like out to get somebody else? So when we come out and we're like, hey, here's evidence Joe Biden's corrupt, shouldn't you just be like, oh? And she's like, no, it's not true. And I'm like, wait, what? No, it is true.
Reactionaryism, you got to watch out for that stuff. Anyone that's willing to refute what you say because they don't like you that's a big problem.
That's what the left is right now.
Well, a lot of people on a lot of sides can fall into that.
And I've been explaining this for a while. The left, as we describe it, is a reactionary movement. What does that mean? Reactionary doesn't mean you react to something. It is a specific reference to those who are trying to bring back or preserve the old ways. That is what the left is doing. When they're not about progress. This is a lie. When you get Ibram Kendi coming out and saying the only solution to past discrimination, et cetera, when he's basically advocating for future discrimination, Derek Bell, I think I'm hoping I'm not getting his name wrong. They're advocating for returning to Plessy v. Ferguson. They want to bring back the old before the civil rights movement. They are reactionaries who are upset we had a civil libertarian revolution in this country that brought about individual rights. They are collectivists. They hate that we've enshrined in our Constitution individual rights, and they want to turn back the clock to get rid of that. They're reactionaries. Now, you're right. As for Emma, maybe it is fair to say, no matter what it is you advocate for, she will be against. If I say, hey, look, here's evidence Joe Biden's corrupt, she goes, nuh-uh. I'm like, but you hate Joe Biden.
It's personal, Tim. It was all about, like, it was personal about you. Anybody that was here obviously would have been a representative of Timcast, but, like, the whole thing was they want clips. They were hoping to get clips, but Emma was just incapable of producing something that would be compelling for them, other than, oh, he didn't show me his skate park.
I wonder if they feel, I kind of felt like Emma felt a little bit of shame, because I know that the thing she said about neo-Nazis, she was told to say, probably by Sam. And afterwards, when the show wrapped, and she steps out of the room for a bit, we are all talking about it, about this is the issue with the Majority Report. Sam Cedar is blacklisted from a bunch of big networks and podcasts. Yeah. He got fired from MSNBC, I think. And this is explicitly why. As has been iterated to me by a lot of people, that he's an unserious person who just tries to gamify people for bad faith politics. And then, as she's walking back in the room, Sean was like, oh, the neo-Nazi thing is like out of line. It's like, it's not a real debate. It's not a real political argument. It's just an intentionally destructive to the political space. Yeah. And then she is looking down. She wouldn't look us in the eyes at all the whole time.
I wonder, she had made a big stink about the amount of money that they don't make, and didn't want to admit that it's because there's not really an audience for it, or not the same kind of audience. She did mention, like you'd said earlier, one of the things that I wanted to push back on, she said over and over that she was covering serious political topics and et cetera. And I think that all of the Majority Report, and her in particular, but I would assume the feeling is shared with most of the people over there, is just massive jealousy. They don't get invited up to Capitol Hill. They're not streaming their show from Congress, from congressional people's offices. They don't have the same kind of reach. They don't get the same kind of reaction from audiences and stuff. So I think,
but you're right. But that's like saying the people who intentionally choose not to shower are surprised that people don't want them around.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how people behave. I've smelled plenty of stinky people. Like people don't know that their breath stinks, or that they're offensive to other people, that their ideas or they behave in ways that, push people away. If people realize that, there probably wouldn't be any incels.
She was saying that Sam is like a comedian first. He's not really his primary focus is in business, but
So
I
she's
think
got jokes too.
What they need, what they need is a $10 a month subscription. Like they need to load because they've got 1.3 million subscribers or something. Majority Report does. Like you guys can monetize big time, get 20,000 subscribers a month, 15,000, whatever. You know, you're gonna be fine.
She enjoyed telling people that they did that it was about the politics and it wasn't for money and da 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 da. She loved, like she was reveling in pointing out that she was morally superior. That was one of the things that was really so gross about it. She came here and had this air of superiority and we're better than you and we're blah blah blah. And it was just I found it as a big turnoff.
You know what I think the Majority Report? I think they're like the incel equivalent of politics, where like you get a guy who's out of shape, doesn't have good social skills, says crude and rude things, smells bad, and has a poor diet. And then they get really jealous that people don't want to be friends with them. So they go online, they get really angry and start talking about how the world sucks and how bad it is. And I think that's what the Majority Report is. Because, you have this big political space with a whole bunch of different commentators of different various backgrounds, all having debates and getting along to varying degrees. And then you have the Majority Report where Sam gets like banned from a bunch of different shows, then complains about it. And then when people bring up that he's banned, what did Emma say? She's like, well, it's because they're scared of him. It's like
part of it, and because he's a dick. She was
no
like,
one's scared of him, dude.
It's probably both.
It's literally not.
It's because Destiny is. He's straight up said if there's
Sure.
anyone on the left, I would be afraid to debate. It would be Sam
fine if
Cedar.
Destiny said that, but I think Sean mentioned that. But I can tell you this definitively because I've talked to many big networks and stuff. They've explicitly said they think he's just going to come and clown them, like he's not a serious person. It's a clown show. It's the WWE of politics.
You're gonna get this phase.
He was an actor.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.